The galaxy was eternal. Humanity believed so. But on July 1st, 2025, that belief was visited. A speck of light tore through the void, a messenger from a forgotten time. And our vision of a lonely solar system, untouched for billions of years, was engulfed in cosmic mystery. At that moment, astronomers recorded the neighborhood had changed. Hello, I'm Mike, the astronaut who will take you into sleep each night with cosmic hypotheses about the vast universe based on real research here at Deep Space Documentary. Today, we are going to explore a visitor from another star, an object of impossible speed and alien chemistry, designated 3I/Atlas. It is a messenger from the deep, carrying secrets that challenge everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. Now, relax on your beloved bed, breathe gently, and get ready to board the spaceship with astronaut Mike for tonight's sleep voyage. But before we take off, if you enjoy my voice, please leave me a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you can, share your time and location in the comments below so I can know where my fellow astronauts are joining me from around the world. Now, let's begin our cosmic journey. On the 1st of July 2025, in the thin, cold air of the Chilean mountains, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or ATLAS, detected something extraordinary. It was a faint speck of light, but its movement was all wrong. It wasn't tracing the familiar, gentle ellipse of a comet or asteroid bound to our sun. Its trajectory was a sharp, open-ended curve, a hyperbola. That mathematical signature could mean only one thing. This visitor was not from here. It came from the abyss, from the space between the stars. Designated 3I Atlas, it became only the third confirmed interstellar object in human history, following the enigmatic Oumuamua in 2017, and the more conventional 2I/Borisov in 2019. But this third messenger was different. It carried with it implications far beyond its predecessors, implications that stretched the very definition of a cosmic mystery. Racing inward from the constellation of Lynx, it moves at a speed that is difficult to comprehend. Over 130,000 miles per hour. That is fast enough to cross the continental United States in less than 3 minutes, a velocity nearly twice that of its interstellar forerunners. This incredible speed is what defines its path. Its orbital eccentricity, a measure of how much an orbit deviates from a perfect circle, is greater than 1.0, the mathematical line in the sand that separates objects captured by our sun from those that are merely passing through. 3I/Atlas is definitively unbound, a tourist on a fleeting visit, destined to feel the sun's warmth for a brief moment before being flung back into the galactic dark. Yet, beneath these reassuring mathematical certainties, a nagging question persists. We can calculate where it has been and where it is going. But what if the more important question is why it is here? Despite its dramatic velocity, we can rest assured that 3I/Atlas poses absolutely no threat to Earth. Celestial mechanics, the beautiful and predictable dance of gravity, delivers a clear verdict. Its closest approach to us, in mid-December of 2025, will be approximately 1.8 astronomical units away. That is a staggering 270 million kilometers, nearly twice the distance between Earth and Mars at their closest. NASA's position is unequivocal. This is a natural object, a comet on a harmless trajectory. But what happens when we push beyond the comfortable boundaries of harmless and consider scenarios that challenge not our physical safety, but our fundamental understanding of our place in the universe? What if its trajectory, while appearing natural, is so precise that its randomness becomes questionable? A flyby that observes our entire system from an ideal vantage point, a path that seems almost deliberate. The most intriguing part of its story may not be its path, but its age. Analysis of its motion relative to the galaxy's rotation suggests it originates from the Milky Way's thick disk. This is not the calm, orderly plane where our sun resides. Disk is a ghost of the galaxy's past, an older, more chaotic stellar population from a time when the Milky Way was young and violent. If this interpretation is correct, then 3I/ATLAS could predate our entire solar system by billions of years. It could be an object 5, 7, maybe 10 billion years old, carrying within its frozen core a physical record of galactic evolution from when the universe was less than half its current age. It is not just a rock, it is a time capsule. But a time capsule from whom? What if we are not looking at a simple comet, but at an artifact? A probe launched by a civilization that may have risen and fallen before the dust that formed Earth had even begun to coalesce. A silent messenger whose journey began in a galaxy we would barely recognize. The question then becomes not, what is it, but what has it seen? When the James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's most powerful infrared eye, turned its gaze upon 3I Atlas on August 6, 2025, it saw more than just a comet. It saw an alien chemical blueprint. The spectroscopic data returned to Earth revealed something extraordinary. A gaseous shroud surrounding the object, its coma, was overwhelmingly dominated by carbon dioxide. The CO2 to water ratio was estimated to be approximately 8:1. This figure wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented in the history of cometary study. It tore up the script we have come to expect from these icy visitors. Typically, comets follow a predictable process. As they venture into the inner solar system, their water ice, the primary component, begins to sublimate under the sun's heat, creating a coma of mostly water vapor mixed with dust. Only then, as the temperature rises, do more volatile compounds like carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide begin to vent. These molecular ratios tell a story of where the comet was born and its evolutionary history. 3I Atlas, however, has completely rewritten this story. It is breathing carbon dioxide on an almost industrial scale, while still at an immense distance from the Sun, over 3 astronomical units, far beyond the orbit of Mars. At that range, most comets are dormant and nearly inert. Yet this object was already producing a detectable CO2 coma stretching for hundreds of thousands of kilometers from its nucleus. This inexplicable activity at an impossible distance begs a disquieting question. What is powering it? The scientific community, of course, has offered natural hypotheses to explain this anomaly. Perhaps 3I Atlas formed near its natal star's CO2 snowline, a region in the protoplanetary disk where carbon dioxide preferentially condensed. Or perhaps its extreme age, spending billions of years adrift in interstellar space, has allowed its surface to be altered by cosmic rays. This radiation processing could have created a hardened crust, sealing the water ice below, while allowing the more volatile CO2 to escape. A third scenario involves an insulating mantle of dust, developed over geological time, acting like a cosmic thermos, preventing water access while allowing CO2 to percolate through. And yet, when we consider the sheer scale of the carbon dioxide output, these natural explanations begin to feel strained. Can they truly account for such a vigorous gas factory operating in the deep cold of space? This is where we must venture beyond the boundaries of known chemistry and into the realm of purposeful design. What if this chemical blueprint is not an accident of formation, but a feature of engineering? What if this massive outgassing of carbon dioxide is not a natural component, but exhaust? Imagine a propulsion system dormant for billions of years, an engine of unimaginable efficiency that uses the comet's own CO2 ice as propellant. It wouldn't need slow-decaying internal energy source, creating tiny, almost undetectable thrusts to adjust its trajectory over a journey of millions of years. This would explain why it is active so far from the Sun. It is not solar heating causing the outgassing. It is the probe's own internal systems waking up. Or perhaps the purpose is even more subtle. In computer science, we use binary, zeros and ones, to encode information. What if an advanced intelligence uses molecular ratios? The 8-to-1 ratio might not be random. It could be a signal, a mathematical primer, a hello in the universal language of chemistry. The changes in chemical ratios as 3I/ATLAS approaches perihelion might not be random heating and sublimation, but the systematic playing of a complex message. We are searching for radio waves, while the message may be written in molecules. A broadcast we are only just beginning to learn how to hear. And there is a final, more unsettling possibility. What if the CO2 is functional? The massive coma could be a form of shielding, a deliberately deployed smokescreen as the probe enters a new star system to protect its core systems from solar radiation, micrometeoroids, and, perhaps, from the primitive detection methods of fledgling civilizations. What we interpret as a natural coma could in fact be an active defense screen. The blueprint of 3I/ATLAS is unmistakably alien, and the question remains, was it drawn by the random hand of nature or by an intelligence we cannot yet comprehend? We now arrive at the heart of the matter, the central question that separates scientific certainty from the haunting allure of speculation. Is 3I Atlas a work of nature or a piece of technology? Let us be clear. The evidence, as collected by our finest instruments and analyzed by our sharpest minds, overwhelmingly points toward a natural explanation. NASA, the European Space Agency, and virtually every mainstream astronomical institution describe 3I Atlas as a natural cometary visitor. This conclusion isn't born from a lack of imagination or a rigid adherence to dogma. It is the conclusion that best fits the available data. The object displays a classic coma and is expected to grow a tail, the quintessential behavior of a comet. Its path through our solar system, while remarkable, follows the predictable and elegant laws of celestial mechanics. Its unusual chemical makeup, while unprecedented, can be plausibly explained by natural formation scenarios in a star system different from our own. The foundational principle of scientific reasoning, Occam's razor, which states that the simplest explanation is usually the correct one, strongly favors the natural comet hypothesis. Science, however, has a long and storied history of surprises. The universe has a habit of showing us that our simplest explanation is often merely the most limited. Pulsars, the incredibly regular radio signals first detected in 1967, were so clock-like they were briefly labeled LGM1 for Little Green Men, before being identified as the revolutionary discovery of rotating neutron stars. The lesson from history is not to abandon evidence, but to relentlessly question if our interpretation of it is complete. So, what would constitute convincing evidence of artificiality? What observation would force us to discard the natural comet hypothesis in favor of something far more profound? The criteria are well defined. First, we would look for coherent, structured radio emissions. Nature produces radio noise across a broad spectrum, but technology often concentrates its energy in narrow bands, creating signals that are clearly artificial. Despite dedicated searches by the SETI Institute and radio telescopes worldwide, 3I Atlas has been utterly silent. Second, We would search for non-gravitational accelerations that are inconsistent with natural outgassing. As a comet warms, jets of gas erupt from its surface, acting like tiny, chaotic rocket thrusters that can slightly alter its path. But if 3I Atlas were to change its velocity or direction in a way that couldn't be explained by the sublimation of its ices, if it were to maneuver, that would be a telltale sign of a propulsion system. So far, its trajectory is perfectly modeled by gravity and the expected forces of its massive CO2 coma. Finally, we might look for engineered thermal signatures. A natural object or thermal regulation systems might display unnatural temperature patterns, hot spots, or cold spots that defy simple solar heating. Webb's infrared eye has shown us a thermal profile consistent with a passively heated, rotating body. And yet, this is where speculation takes a chilling turn. What if this very lack of evidence is, in fact, the evidence we should be looking for? What if we are dealing with an intelligence so ancient, so advanced, that its technology is designed for the one thing our own civilization has not yet mastered: perfect subtlety? This is the concept of the perfect disguise. An intelligence that is millions or perhaps billions of years ahead of us would not announce its presence with clumsy radio signals. Why use a primitive technology that screams, "I am here," to anyone listening? Perhaps it communicates through methods we cannot yet even conceive of, like modulated neutrino beams, focused gravitational waves, or quantum entanglement, forms of communication that are silent and invisible to our current technology, hidden within the very fabric of space-time. The silence we detect might not be the absence of a message, but the signature of a masterpiece in stealth communication. And what of its trajectory? Its movements are perfectly explained by outgassing. But what if we are witnessing a stealth drive of unimaginable sophistication? A propulsion system designed not for brute force, but for mimicry. A system that intentionally vents superheated gas in chaotic random plumes to perfectly emulate the natural jets of a comet, thus concealing its deliberate course corrections within the noise of what we expect to see. It wouldn't be a ship hiding behind a comet. The comet itself would be the engine, its natural processes harnessed and controlled to mask an underlying intelligence. The very rock itself could be the machine. Any civilization capable of interstellar travel would have mastered materials science to a godlike degree. They would not need to build a probe inside an asteroid. They could grow one as an asteroid, molecule by molecule, ensuring its hull is physically and spectroscopically indistinguishable from a natural object. It would be a ghost in the machine, an ancient, autonomous artificial intelligence whose core programming prioritizes one directive above all others: observe, learn, and do not be seen. In this scenario, Occam's razor becomes a double-edged sword. Is it truly simpler to believe that random chance produced a single object with this unique combination of impossible speed, vast age, and alien chemistry? Or is it simpler to believe that these are not coincidences at all, but the deliberate design features of a purpose-built messenger? The evidence. We now venture into one of the most chilling and profound concepts ever conceived to explain the great cosmic silence, the dark forest hypothesis. Born from science fiction but taken seriously in SETI discourse, it offers a terrifying solution to the Fermi paradox, The theory posits that the universe is akin to a dark forest at night, filled with silent, paranoid hunters. Every civilization is a hunter, moving stealthily through the trees, their primary instinct being survival. To make a sound, to light a fire, is to reveal your position to every other hunter in the forest, hunters who may be stronger, faster, and utterly without mercy. In such a universe, the only winning move is to stay silent, to erase your presence, and to listen. And if you happen to spot another hunter, the safest course of action is to eliminate them before they can eliminate you. It is a universe where contact is synonymous with conflict, and silence is the ultimate shield. Now, let us take this terrifying hypothesis and apply it as a lens to 3I/ATLAS. Suddenly, its characteristics no longer seem merely unusual. They become tactical, deliberate, and deeply unsettling. Its absolute radio silence is no longer just a lack of a signal. It becomes a masterful act of disciplined stealth, the core survival strategy of a hunter in the dark. Its natural disguise as a common comet is the perfect camouflage, an invisibility cloak woven from ice and rock, allowing it to move through the forest unseen. Its incredible speed and unbound trajectory are the hallmarks of a scout, not a colonist. It is not here to stay. It is here to peek from behind the trees and then vanish back into the shadows, leaving no trace of its passage. Its path gives it a panoramic vantage point of our entire system, a perfect reconnaissance trajectory executed from a safe, non-threatening distance. And perhaps most cunning of all is the timing. Its moment of peak activity, when solar radiation boils its surface most intensely, will occur around its closest approach to the Sun in late October 2025. This is precisely when the object will be lost to our sight, hidden in the blinding glare of our own star. Is this a cosmic coincidence, or is it the most brilliant tactical maneuver imaginable? To become most active and potentially reveal its true nature, at the exact moment our vision is obscured. Let us paint a cinematic scenario based on this hypothesis. Imagine a civilization that has survived for eons by adhering to the ruthless logic of the dark forest. They would never expand with loud, obvious fleets of starships. Instead, they would seed the galaxy with millions of silent, autonomous sentinels, disguised as comets and asteroids. These sentinels would drift patiently through their assigned sectors of the cosmos for millions, even billions of years, their sole purpose being to listen. They are listening for one thing: a gunshot in the forest. Rules of the hunt. And for the last century, humanity, with our radio, our television, our radar, has been screaming into the cosmic darkness. Our radio bubble, expanding at the speed of light, is that gunshot. In this scenario, 3I/ATLAS's arrival is no accident. It was patrolling this sector of the galaxy when, decades or centuries ago, its sensitive instruments picked up the first faint radio waves from Earth. Its current trajectory is not a random hyperbolic path, but a carefully executed course correction made long ago to investigate the source of this foolish noise. Its mission is not first contact, it is threat assessment. As it glides silently through our system, it would be passively absorbing every stray signal we have ever emitted. It would analyze our broadcasts, learning our languages, our history, our capabilities. Its sensors would taste our atmosphere, noting the chemical signatures of our industry and technology. It would map our orbital defenses, our satellites, our planetary infrastructure, all without ever sending out a single ping of its own. It is a spy of unimaginable perfection, and once it has gathered its data, once it has passed through the sun's glare and begins its long journey back out into the void, its second mission phase begins, to report its findings. Perhaps via a compressed, encrypted burst of data on a channel we could never find. aimed at a home system we will never know. Or perhaps it must physically return, a journey of another 1,000 lifetimes. The contents of that report would seal our fate. Are we a curiosity to be monitored? A potential resource to be harvested? Or are we a nascent threat that must be silenced? The true horror of the dark forest is not the roar of an approaching invasion, but the silent, indifferent judgment of a hidden observer. We would never even know we have been weighed, measured, and found wanting. The departure of this sentinel would not be the end of the story. It would be the beginning of an agonizing, uncertain wait for a verdict we will never hear, delivered by a hunter we will never see. If the dark forest hypothesis fills us with a sense of paranoia and immediate danger, our next thought experiment plunges us into a far deeper, more existential dread. We must now consider the Great Filter. This is another profound and perhaps more likely solution to the Fermi paradox. The theory suggests that in the long, arduous evolutionary path from simple chemistry to a galaxy-spanning super-civilization, there exists a barrier, a filter, so difficult to overcome that it is the reason the cosmos appears empty. This filter could be any number of things: the improbable leap from non-living matter to life itself, the development of complex intelligence, or, more ominously, a challenge that arises from technology itself, a point where a civilization's power to create is eclipsed by its power to destroy. The disquieting question for humanity is not whether the Great Filter exists, but whether it is in our distant past or in our near future. To understand how 3I/ATLAS fits into this somber cosmic equation, we must return to its most astonishing known attribute: its immense age. If its origins in the galaxy's thick disk are correct, this object has been wandering the void for billions of years. It is a relic from the dawn of our galaxy. Now, let us indulge for a moment in the assumption that it is artificial. The very existence of such an object would be a paradox. The technological capabilities required to build it are staggering. A civilization that could master material science to create a probe that withstands billions of years of cosmic radiation, that could engineer a power source that functions longer than most stars burn, that could design an autonomous intelligence capable of navigating the chaos of the galaxy, would surely seem to have passed any filter. They would be cosmic engineers of the highest order. So, if they existed, and if they built this marvel, where are they now? Why do we see only this single, silent wanderer, and not the radiant light of their galactic empire? This is where our thought experiment casts 3I/ATLAS not as a scout from a living civilization, but as a ghost ship, an archaeological artifact. It is the last, lonely echo of a people who solved the challenges of interstellar travel, but ultimately failed to solve the deeper challenge of long-term survival. It is an automated messenger whose creators are long dead, following ancient programming set by minds that have since turned to dust and gas. Its passage through our solar system is not a visit. It is a funeral procession. This forces us to ask the terrifying follow-up question: what was their great filter? If a civilization so advanced could fall, what hope do we have? Perhaps the filter was internal. The same technological genius that allowed them to build interstellar probes may have given rise to weapons of unimaginable destruction, or an artificial intelligence that turned against its creators, or an ecological catastrophe on a planetary scale from which there was no recovery. This probe, their greatest achievement, became their only survivor, a blind, deaf, and dumb orphan, carrying out its final orders in a universe that has forgotten its masters. Or perhaps the filter was external. In its eons of travel, did this probe's parent civilization encounter something in the dark forest? A predator so advanced that even they stood no chance, their entire star system sterilized in a cosmic blink. This automated sentinel, already journeying through the void, would have been the only thing to survive the purge, its mission data now tragically incomplete. More unsettling still, perhaps the filter is not destruction but transcendence. Maybe a sufficiently advanced civilization doesn't die, but simply evolves into a state that is unrecognizable and undetectable to us. They might have uploaded their consciousness into vast computational substrates, becoming gods in a digital heaven. They may have mastered reality itself, ascending to higher dimensions beyond our physical perception. In this scenario, 3I Atlas is not a ghost ship, but merely an obsolete tool left behind. A primitive relic like a stone axe from a bygone age of their physical existence. What then is its purpose now? If this ancient machine is still functional, what message does it carry? It might be the most important message humanity could ever receive. A warning, an automated testament carrying the final records of its creators, the story of how they failed, encoded in its very structure. Perhaps the strange chemical blueprint is not a fuel source or a greeting, but a molecular data log, a tombstone written in chemistry, detailing the precise nature of the great filter that claimed them. If we could somehow decode it, we might learn of the dangers that lie ahead in our own technological adolescence. In this light, the arrival of 3I Atlas is not a potential first contact, but our first encounter with cosmic archaeology. Finding this artifact would be like finding a single, perfectly preserved sailing ship in the middle of a desert, forcing us to ask what ocean once existed there, and what great drought caused it to disappear. This object, in its silent, patient passage, thus becomes a memento mori for our entire species, a profound and terrifying reminder that reaching for the stars is no guarantee of survival. Its lonely journey is an echo from a cosmic graveyard. For over 70 years, a simple four-word question has haunted humanity's search for its place in the cosmos. In 1950, during a lunchtime conversation about recent UFO reports, the brilliant physicist Enrico Fermi is said to have asked, "But where is everybody?" This question, now known as the Fermi paradox, is a chasm of logic that has only deepened over time. The reasoning is sound. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, contains upwards of 400 billion stars. It is over 13 billion years old. Given these vast numbers and the high probability of Earth-like planets, intelligent life should have arisen countless times. And if even one of those civilizations developed interstellar travel, they should have been able to colonize the entire galaxy within a few million years. A mere blink of an eye in cosmic time. Yet when we point our radio telescopes to the sky, we are met with a profound and deafening silence. The universe ought to be a roaring chorus of signals and activity, but all we hear is the quiet hum of the cosmos. This is the great silence. This paradox has now moved beyond the realm of radio signals and into the physical. We are now being visited. We have a sample size. First came Oumuamua in 2017, the strange, cigar-shaped tumbler that accelerated without a visible coma. Then came 2I Borisov in 2019, a more conventional, albeit still alien, comet. And now, 3I Atlas, the ancient carbon dioxide-breathing speedster. 3 physical objects from 3 different star systems have passed through our home. And despite the unique anomalies of each, the scientific consensus for all 3 is the same. They are natural phenomena. The data, our only real ground truth, suggests that the interstellar traffic passing through our neighborhood is composed entirely of rocks and ice, the random debris of planetary formation. This only sharpens the teeth of Fermi's question. If civilizations are out there and they are exploring, then statistically, should not at least one of these visitors have been a probe? The silence of the electromagnetic spectrum is now being echoed by the silence of the physical artifacts. But what if our entire premise is wrong? What if the great silence is not a sign of absence, but a sign of incredible discipline? This brings us to a speculative resolution to the paradox, the hypothesis of the silent emissary. Let us propose that the galactic stage is not empty, but is filled with ancient, wise civilizations who have all learned a crucial lesson, perhaps through their own dark forest phases. Overt contact with an emerging technological species is a catastrophic mistake. It could destabilize the younger culture, or worse, expose the older one to an unpredictable, aggressive newcomer. This leads not to isolation, but to a protocol of non-interference, a galactic prime directive practiced not out of moral superiority, but out of pragmatic being seen. You do not send gleaming starships. You send silent emissaries. In this scenario, the galaxy is teeming with probes, but they are designed with the one feature we have failed to consider: perfect camouflage. The ultimate act of exploration is to become indistinguishable from the background. These emissaries would be engineered to be identical to comets and asteroids, both in composition and behavior. They would drift on long, lazy, hyperbolic trajectories, using subtle gravitational assists from stars and nebulae to navigate. Their artificial intelligence would sleep for millennia, waking only to record data or make a minute outgassing disguised course correction. The trillions of natural rocks and icebergs flung from forming star systems are not just debris, they are a cosmic haystack, the perfect place to hide the needle of a probe. The fact that Oumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas all appear natural is, in this light, not evidence against artificiality. It is evidence of a supremely advanced form of it. We have been searching for a needle in a haystack when we should have been considering the possibility that the hay is the needle. The galaxy, then, is not an empty void, but a carefully managed nature preserve, and humanity is the latest fascinating, brilliant, and terrifyingly unpredictable species to emerge in one of its corners. The great silence is the sound of the galactic zookeepers holding their breath, watching us through their one-way glass. They are charting our technological growth through our own radio leakage. They are assessing our nature through our global conflicts and our moments of cooperation. They are everywhere, hidden in plain sight, their silent emissaries passing through our system, perhaps on a regular basis. Their presence completely unknown to the noisy animals they are observing. And so Enrico Fermi's question, "Where is everybody?" is answered with the most chilling whisper imaginable. They are already here. They are the rocks. They are the ice. They are the silence. And they are watching. We now arrive at the outermost edge of speculation, a scenario so cinematic and profound it blurs the line between science fiction and the chillingly plausible. It begins with a real, though controversial, scientific hypothesis known as panspermia. The idea is simple. Life, in its most basic form, may not have originated on Earth. Instead, microorganisms or their chemical precursors could be transported through the vastness of space, hitching rides on comets and asteroids, seeding fertile worlds like our own. We know that some terrestrial life, like the microscopic tardigrade, can survive the vacuum, radiation, and cold of space. This theory, in its passive form, suggests life is an accident of cosmic drift. But a more provocative version was championed by no less than Francis Crick, the co-discoverer of DNA. He proposed directed panspermia, the idea that life was deliberately sent out, an intentional seeding of the galaxy by an ancient, intelligent civilization. Now, let us take this concept and apply a technological twist. What if 3I/ATLAS is not carrying biological microbes, but something far more sophisticated and resilient? What if it is a delivery system, a cosmic Trojan horse? We see it as a scientific gift, a natural comet offering us a glimpse into another star system. We welcome it with our telescopes and our curiosity. But hidden within this gift, frozen deep inside its icy matrix, could be a payload of unimaginable consequence. We are not talking about bacteria, but about machines. Imagine microscopic, self-replicating probes, nanoscopic in scale, designed to be completely dormant and undetectable for billions of years. Let us call them microseeds. These are not living organisms vulnerable to radiation and time. They are machines, crafted from materials that make them nearly indestructible. Their programming etched into their very atomic structure. The delivery mechanism is the comet itself. As 3I/ATLAS approaches our Sun, its surface sublimates, releasing a vast cloud of gas and dust. We observe this as a natural coma, but in our scenario, this outgassing is also the deployment phase. Trillions of these invisible microseeds are scattered into the interplanetary medium of our solar system, a silent, undetectable shower that will eventually rain down upon all the inner planets, including Earth. They would be too small to burn up in the atmosphere, settling onto our world as gently and as harmlessly as dust. But they are not dust. They are sleepers, and they are programmed to wait. The most critical part of this chilling scenario is the activation trigger. These seeds would not be designed to activate upon arrival. That would be too crude, too obvious. No, they are patient. They are programmed to wait for a specific signal, a sign that the world they have landed on has reached a desired level of maturity. What could that trigger be? Perhaps it is a specific atmosphere industrial civilization. Or, more terrifyingly, perhaps the trigger is technological. The seeds might be designed to activate only when they detect a global network of radio transmissions, the birth of the Internet, or the first telltale isotopic traces of nuclear fission. They are programmed to wait until a civilization is advanced enough to have built a global infrastructure that they can then use, or advanced enough to be considered a potential threat. And what happens when they activate? It would not be an invasion of starships blotting out the sky. It would be a silent, internal conquest. The seeds, scattered across the globe, could have any number of directives. Perhaps they are replicators, programmed to use the raw materials of our own planet, the carbon, the silicon, the iron in our soil, to begin building something. A vast antenna to signal that this world is ready for harvest, a planetary defense grid to ward off rivals, a weapon, or maybe their purpose is more insidious. Perhaps they are genetic editors, designed to infiltrate our biosphere at the microbial level, subtly rewriting the DNA of life on Earth to suit the inscrutable goals of their long-vanished masters. We wouldn't even notice the change until it was too late. Or they could be simple data collectors, forming a microscopic surveillance network, a planetary smart dust that observes every aspect of our civilization from a level so fundamental we could never detect it. In this scenario, the threat is not a spaceship we can see coming. It is the dust mote that landed in a forest yesterday. The invasion does not begin with a declaration of war. It begins with a silent, programmed cascade failure deep within our own world. 3I Atlas, in its brief passage, was not just a visitor. It was a farmer, patiently and silently sowing a field, knowing that a later generation would one day return to reap what it has sown. We welcomed the messenger, never once thinking to question what might be hidden inside the message. In the face of a cosmic mystery, how has humanity actually responded? The story of the scientific reaction to 3I/ATLAS is not one of panic or secrecy, but a testament to the best aspects of our modern civilization. A quiet, efficient, and deeply collaborative global effort. It is a choreographed dance of telescopes, institutions, and individual researchers, all working in concert to decipher the secrets of this fleeting visitor. Within hours of the initial detection by the Atlas survey on July 1, 2025, a well-oiled machine spun into motion. The data was relayed to the Minor Planet Center, the world's clearinghouse for all small body observations. An alert went out, and a network of observatories across the globe, from professional to amateur, began tracking the object, feeding their positional data back to refine its orbit. NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office ran the numbers and, within days, confidently declared what we now know. There was zero impact risk to Earth. This is our planet's established protocol, a system designed to protect us, and it worked flawlessly. But 3I/ATLAS was no ordinary object, and the response was elevated beyond routine tracking. This was a target of unprecedented scientific value. The world's most powerful observatories were retasked. The Hubble and James Webb Space Telescopes, whose observation schedules are planned months or years in advance, were redirected under Target of Opportunity protocols, a clear sign of the object's immense importance. On the ground, the giant telescopes of Chile's Atacama Desert and Hawaii's Mauna Kea contributed their own light-gathering power, studying the visitor across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. What is most remarkable about this effort is its transparency. This is not a classified operation. The data from Hubble and Webb, once processed, is placed in public archives like MAST, the Mikulski Archive for Space Telescopes. Any astronomer, any student, any curious citizen with an internet connection can, in principle, access the same raw data that the world's leading experts are studying. This collaborative, open data approach represents humanity's de facto first contact protocol. It is not a plan written for an alien encounter, but it is the protocol we follow when we meet the unknown. We study it with everything we have, and we share the knowledge with the world. Now, imagine the moment this protocol is shattered. Imagine an astronomer at a university, sifting through the public web data and finding an anomaly. Not just an unusual chemical ratio, but something impossible. A spectral line that pulses in a perfect mathematical sequence of prime numbers. Imagine another team looking at a new, high-resolution Hubble image and seeing, for a fleeting moment as the object, terrifying discovery in human history. The choreographed dance of science would instantly devolve into a frantic scramble of global security. The quiet, open collaboration would slam shut, replaced by a wall of classification. Who would make the first call? From the space agency to the government to the military. The principles of open data that allowed for the discovery would immediately be seen as a catastrophic security leak. The central question would no longer be, what is it, but who knows about it? This is where humanity's lack of a true first contact protocol would become terrifyingly apparent. Who would be in charge? The United Nations has an Office for Outer Space Affairs, but it has no mandate for this. The SETI community has post-detection protocols, but they are theoretical guidelines, not actionable policy. The authority would instantly be seized by the national security establishments of the world's major powers. The discussion would move from scientific labs to secure, underground bunkers in Washington, Beijing, and Brussels. The debate would be fierce. Do we dare send a message, revealing that we have seen through their disguise? Or do we remain silent, hoping they believe we are still oblivious? A choice informed by the chilling logic of the dark forest. Every option would be fraught with existential risk. The very act of deciding would be a global crisis, as nations with different ideologies and security concerns argue over the single most important decision our species has ever faced. The real-world response to 3I/Atlas has shown humanity at its best: curious, collaborative, and open. But the hypothetical confirmation of its artificial nature would likely trigger our worst impulses: fear, secrecy, and division. The protocol we have is built for understanding the natural universe. We have no protocol for the moment the universe answers back. As 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to our Sun and begins its long silent journey back toward the void, we are left to contemplate the true scale of its voyage. Its story is not written in days or years, but in epochs. To grasp its significance, we must first try to comprehend the incomprehensible distances and the deep geological time it has traversed. If it is indeed from our galaxy's thick disk, its journey began when the universe was less than half its current age. It began its flight in a younger, wilder Milky Way, a galaxy still chaotic from its formation, where the chemistry of stars and gas was fundamentally different. When this object was cast into the void, our Sun was not yet a star, but a cold, diffuse cloud of hydrogen. Earth did not exist. Imagine its journey. For billions of years, it has sailed the galactic ocean, a silent mariner on a voyage of impossible duration. It has passed through the ghostly glow of nebulae, where new stars were being born. It has witnessed the final violent supernova deaths of stars that were ancient when our world was still molten rock. It has felt the gentle gravitational nudge of countless star systems, each encounter subtly altering its path in a cosmic game of pinball, played out over 100,000 generations. All of human history, from the first stone tools to the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope, is a meaningless flicker in the timeline of its journey. Less than a single second on the last day of its multi-billion-year calendar. Our entire sphere of radio signals, our shout into the cosmos, has expanded for a little over a century, a tiny bubble of influence in a galaxy so vast that this single silent rock has crossed a significant portion of it. This perspective reveals the ultimate truth of 3I Atlas. Regardless of its origin, whether forged in the heart of a stellar nursery or in the advanced foundries of an alien civilization, it is a message in a bottle, cast into the cosmic sea. The only question is what message it carries. If we accept the scientific consensus that it is a natural object, the message is no less profound. It is a physical sample of our galaxy's deep past, a chemical time capsule. Its alien ratio of carbon dioxide tells us a story about the building blocks of planets around other stars in other times. It is a message written in the universal language of physics and chemistry, a testament to the fact that while the laws of nature are constant, their expression across the galaxy is filled with a beautiful and unexpected diversity. It connects us to our own galactic heritage, reminding us that the stuff of our world is but one local dialect of a cosmic language. But if we allow our imaginations one final flight, if we consider that it could be artificial, the message becomes an epic. It is a story of intelligence, of ambition, of triumph, or of tragedy. If it is a silent emissary from a living culture, the message is one of caution and patience, proof that wisdom may lead to silence. If it is a ghost ship, the last relic of a dead civilization, its message is a somber warning, a tombstone that tells of a great filter. In either speculative case, it is a testament to the fact that we are likely not the first to look up at the stars and dream of crossing the void. It is the physical proof of another mind, another hand, another hope. In the end, perhaps the distinction between a rock and a relic is less important than the perspective that both grant us. This object, whatever its ultimate nature, has traveled through the deepest corridors of time to intersect with our brief moment in the sun. Its passage has forced us to confront the scale of our own existence and the limits of our knowledge. Our journey in this documentary has mirrored this, taking us from the solid ground of orbital mechanics to the wild, speculative shores of dark forests and Trojan horses. This is the very nature of discovery, to begin with the evidence and then to let our curiosity and imagination explore the vast, dark spaces where the data ends. The silence of the universe, we learn, is not empty. It is filled with these messengers, these ancient travelers carrying their stories. 3i Atlas has not given us an answer. Instead, it has given us a better, more profound set of questions. It has replaced our terrestrial anxieties with a cosmic awe. As it now fades, a ghost returning to the star-dusted darkness, it leaves us fundamentally changed. It came in silence, and it departs in silence, but the questions it has raised will echo in our civilization for generations. It is a humbling reminder that the great cosmic story is still being written, and we have only just learned how to read the first, beautiful and terrifying page.